Hello, everyone. Welcome to Click Moments, where the right information at the right time is a portal from where you are to where you want to be. And I'm your host, Beth Orr, and today we're going to be talking about our loved ones from beyond that have passed over to the other side, and on their death anniversary, us receiving love and connection from them. I want to talk about this topic because we are entering the holiday season, and there's so much loss and grief that comes during the holidays because of the people that have left us. But yet, one of the things that I'm recognizing is this real connection that we can still have with our loved ones, which brings a lot of solace and comfort. So, I would like you to suspend your disbelief if you are reluctant or reticent to have this as your own personal experience. Just keep an open mind. And if you are somebody that has sensed that people are beyond that you have loved, but you haven't necessarily had a tangible connection, I hope that you listen in and feel some hope that your relationship can continue to evolve. That's the thing. When we're learning any new skill, sometimes we think that we either have it or we don't. But the reality is just that with time and attention, with understanding and awareness, we can actually shift and do things that we couldn't do before. I definitely, with the things that I'm getting ready to talk about, have been at earlier stages, and it's progressed over time with my understanding, with intention, with practices. And so I hope that this gives you hope that you can continue to evolve with your relationship with your loved ones. So, in my experience, I just want to set up a little bit about where this comes from. So, when we lose somebody that's important to us, there is a hole in our lives. We just miss them. We miss who they were to us. We miss having a relationship and a connection to them. But here's, in my experience, what happens is that they just lose their bodies. Their energy, the soul, is still alive. So they lose this physical body, and as it drops away, it leaves the soul or their essence or their energy outside of us, around us. It's something that's invisible to us because their bodies gave them visibility. It gave them an avatar, right? But just like if you had 3 people lined up in your life right now that you know, and they have a certain energy when you're around them, you feel a certain energy when you're around them. The person that you loved had a certain energy around them. And when they left and they lost their bodies through death and they went to the other side, they still keep that energy that you feel. So you still get to sense that energy, but we don't necessarily realize that they can still communicate with us. We're distanced from that. We think that a medium or somebody who specializes in that is the only one who can have that kind of connection. But is that true? Is that true? What if we're capable of connecting to that energy also? What if we are able to receive messages that they are trying to give us? And what I found is that not only is this capable and are they around us all the time, I literally feel the people that have passed beyond around me on a regular basis. And typically when I need that connection, when I'm reaching for them, they're reaching back to me. And it's not just some sort of historical memory. It's new experiences with them. I'm going to explain through an example. So last year on November 3rd, I lost one of the most important people to me in my life. I lost my grandmother. Her name was Mary Ann Hill. And I was with her from October 3rd to November 3rd during the month that she passed. That was a difficult month, October. So I've known in this month of October at the 1-year anniversary that this was going to be a difficult time. Now I'm going to be honest with you. I've lost a lot of people, and I've heard people talk about death anniversaries, and I've never experienced the pain of a death anniversary. I've always been like, oh, I prefer to remember their life, and I prefer to remember their birthdays. I don't necessarily remember death anniversaries, and it's true. I don't remember death anniversaries until now. And this death anniversary hit me hard. So when my grandmother was dying, in that last moment before we knew that we weren't going to see her again, I was alone with her. And I said to her, in the absence of other people, I looked at her and I knew this was my last chance. And I said, hey, I just want you to know that I can connect with people beyond. And so I'm going to be ready for you. When you get your bearings, look for me and we can still talk and be connected. And I said, so I'll be ready. And she goes, you better. And it was the first time we'd ever talked about this kind of thing. And it was the only time. And that was it. And then shortly thereafter, she went into shutting down and going through the process of dying. So since then, after her death, she came to me right away. I've had this connection with her. But leading up to this October timeframe, I could feel it. When October hit, I was like, normally the fall, I'm so excited. And I was still excited. I love the fall and I'm an excitable person. So I was loving this season, but there was an undertone of her death that I was rejecting. I was like, I don't want to think about that. This hurts. This hurts, right? And so instead of remembering that I could connect with her life and who she was, I was reluctant to experience the grief of remembering her death. But she kept trying to come to me. She kept reminding me that her life was a celebration, that she was around me. She kept wanting me to know and remember that she was alive still and not to be focusing on her death. And my understanding is that they retain their same personality on the other side as what they are here. And so it doesn't surprise me that she was trying to convince me to not be sad and to instead celebrate her life. But I was reticent. I ended up going towards the end of the month. 2 weeks ago, I went to a circle of other artists who are creating, and we're supporting each other through that creation process because it can be lonely when you're doing something that you don't see other people around you doing. And in that time, that group caught that I was avoiding grief. It came up, grief came up, loss came up, and I ended up connecting that some of what I was experiencing was related to this time, and they held space for me. So I was able to let up a lot of that emotion and that sadness, because when we release the grief, all that's left is love. We want to keep that inside of us, right? So this is what happened thereafter. I had accepted an assignment to go to New York and do a training with a group of 30 individuals who were going to be learning this model that I train on. And before I left for that, I was at a lake house with a friend preparing for a retreat next August. This friend of mine doesn't connect to the other side on a regular basis. This isn't something that she normally does. But yet she found herself coming up the last morning that we were going to be leaving from each other. And she says to me, okay, listen, this is not coming from me. What I'm getting ready to tell you is not coming from me. I would not say this to you, but I feel like it means something to you. This came through me this morning from somewhere else, and I feel like I'm supposed to share this with you. So tell me if it resonates. If it doesn't, it doesn't, but I have to tell you. Like literally, I have to tell you. So this is what she says to me. She says, good morning, sweet thing. How you doing? And she goes, I couldn't tell what it was in between there, but how you doing? Something, doll. So good morning, sweet thing. How you doing, doll? And I start crying. I'm shocked first, and then I start crying, and I was like, really? And then I just got so happy, because when I would stay with my mom and my grandmother, and I would come out of the bedroom and she was already up, she would call me sweet thing. And she'd go, good morning, sweet thing. How you doing, baby doll? Because she called me baby doll. So this was her thing. Good morning, sweet thing. How you doing, baby doll? Now, you can't make this up. This isn't like somebody said, good morning, hope you're doing okay. I mean, this isn't vague. This is really specific to the person that I lost, that I'm grieving right now, that I'm feeling in this season. So my grandmother found an open space and a willing, receptive person who she knew had the capacity and the willingness to do something kind for me, which is to share what she was feeling and experiencing. So this is huge. I'm like, okay, I'm like 3 days from leaving to go to New York, and I'm feeling, I chose to do this New York assignment because I knew that was going to be a difficult week. The Friday that I would be finishing this conference, November 3rd, was the day that she died, and I knew that being busy this week would actually be a good thing, and that I was supposed to say yes. So this sets up, oh, my grandmother wants me to know that she's with me. She's coming in strong. She's not even she's coming in hot here, right? She's letting me know with a very clear message that this is what's going on. I leave after breakfast that morning, and I go to meet a friend that I haven't seen in 12 years that my grandmother knows. She's no doubt got this whole meeting together. I haven't seen this friend and her family for a long time. And we meet and go on a train. Now, mind you, this train ride that we're going through the Smoky Mountains to do is something that my grandma and I both wanted to do. We've gone to the Smokies for years, for decades, and we'd never done this train ride. Grandma got to do it a few years before she passed, but I wasn't there, and I'd wanted to do it. And so this was something that came up that I got to do that felt like a connection. My grandmother brought this friend back that she loved and wanted me to tell hello to, which I did. And then she orchestrated this whole train ride, which reminded me of her and also my grandfather, who I knew she was reconnected with, which made me very happy. My grandfather worked for the railroad, and trains always remind me of him. So I got to do this, which brought me then in closer. Then the next day, my brother is in. Now, I've lived in Asheville for 2.5 years, and my brother hasn't gotten to visit here yet. And so my brother and his wife were in visiting, and we got to meet, and we had this beautiful time together. Well, right at the end, while they were there, I knew I had to get up super early the next day. But I said to them, I want you to see my apartment. I want you to see where I live. Come by and visit. So they came over to my apartment. I showed them the space. And when they're getting ready to leave, I look up, and the B light, which by the way is not on right now, okay? I have a light that says it's a B, and it's got 6 little light bulbs, but there's no batteries in it, okay? Now, after she died, this thing was on all the time. It has no batteries. And when she would come to me, she would let me know she was around me and confirm what I was experiencing through that light. That light hasn't been on for a long time. I haven't worried about it, but it hasn't been on for a while. When my brother is coming through here, her grandson, when my brother is coming through here, that light went on. Now, it hasn't been on for months, which told me this again is my grandmother letting me know I'm with you. And I told my brother, and we all three of us just kind of laughed, and we're like, wow, right? Wow, that was able to happen. So the energy from beyond, my understanding is it pulls on light. So whereas we're a low vibration, we have to raise our vibration to get to the vibrational frequency of the afterlife, and the people in the afterlife have to lower their vibration to get to us. So this is why I'm always trying to raise my vibration to get to love 500 or above. joy and peace are even higher. So you want to get to the highest vibrational frequency you can so that they can actually lower their vibration and match with you, right? So she pulls from energy, and she got that energy, she got that light on for me to be able to see her. Fast forward, I go to New York and I'm at this training and I'm feeling it. The first couple of days, I know I'm in that final week and I'm feeling it because my body remembers on a death anniversary. Our bodies, where our minds don't want to think about it, our bodies are remembering that time the year before or the year before or the year before. It's remembering, right? As Bessel van der Kolk says, our body keeps score. So my body's remembering this, right? And the Monday and Tuesday, I'm feeling it. My heart's a little hurt, but I'm like staying strong, and I'm doing this training and I'm bringing it, right? It's a beautiful training. I'm connecting with these amazing people. And so I'm at this training, and at the end of the week on Thursday, stuff starts happening. On Thursday, I walk in the evening, and I'm tired after dinner, but I decide that there's a group of participants that are there and they're putting bracelets together. And I decide that I'm going to make a bracelet with them. They invite me to come make our own friendship bracelets, right? So I make a friendship bracelet. I love this bracelet. I think it's cool. Fast forward, it's Friday. It's the death anniversary. And I wake up and I feel love. I feel her. I feel love. I feel a little tenderness, but I feel love. That day starts with my co-facilitator giving me a card that says, "I'm thinking of you." I'm like, oh man, that's really nice. This is the first time we've trained together. And how kind, because earlier in the week I told her, because I have the emotional intelligence to know, say something to somebody in case they are interpreting this to be something else. Let them know how you're feeling. So I had told her. So she gives me this card. I get to the training, and as the training's starting, this woman's handing out little gifts to everybody, and I say, "Hey, I'd like to make an announcement." I got nudged to do this. I said, "This morning, I wanted to give you something, and I see you being kind and giving things to all these people, and I want to give you something as a token of my appreciation and my heart. I want to give you this bracelet that I made last night." And guess what? I said, when I was looking at this bracelet, I was like, man, I wish that it had 30 beads, 29 participants in me, so that you could remember this experience. And then I counted the beads. And without knowing last night what I was doing, I intuitively made a bracelet that had 30 beads. I give it to her. And I'm just happy. I have this little moment where I really like that bracelet, but I was like, no, this is definitely what I'm supposed to do. So I give it to her, and she's like really touched, really, really appreciates this, because this has been an amazing group experience. These participants were, they were doing such good work, and we were just so blessed to be able to connect with them. So she got this 30 bead bracelet. Right after that, on break, the woman who I did the bracelets with said, "Hey, I have these 4 Kansas City Chiefs bracelets. Mahomes," she's talking about Mahomes. And I'm like, what? So she's a Kansas City Chiefs fan. And she had come over to ask the woman that was there and anybody who was there. She didn't know I was a Chiefs, that serious of a Chiefs fan. I said, yes, I would like a bracelet. My grandmother is the biggest sports fan that you could ever imagine. She was a sports fanatic. Any sports that was on, she would watch it, right? That was her preference. And so I had given away that bracelet as a token of love and appreciation. And then right after that, there was a space open for another bracelet. And she came over and gave me a Kansas City Chiefs bracelet. So I took that bracelet and I was like, Grandma is here. She's like, baby doll, you gotta be rooting for Mahomes and the home team, right? Right after that, a woman who I had connected with just briefly with the experience with the bracelets, and then throughout this week, right? She comes over to me and she randomly says, "Hey, I wanted to share with you this app, Merlin app. And you can record bird calls, and it tells you the birds. Why she felt the need to share this with me, I don't know, right? But she felt the need to share this with me. And she says, over this year, there's been 52 different bird calls that I've had. Let me show you. And she pushes a random one, and it's Anna's hummingbird. My grandmother's name is Mary Ann. Anna's hummingbird. And hummingbird is one of the two birds that my grandmother comes to me through as a spirit animal, a hummingbird. And I knew before she said anything, I said, let me guess. It's going to have bright colors, but it's going to have a bright pink neck. And she pulls that thing up, and it's got bright green body and a bright, like pink, hot pink neck, which were my grandmother's favorite colors, especially hot pink. So my grandmother, again, is coming through this person. So what it takes is for us to see and recognize the people on the other side, what it takes is a willingness to be open and receptive, not just for us, but the people around us. These people around me had to feel that nudge and then follow up on it and do it without understanding why, but have the compulsion to actually do it. And she even said, I have to tell you this. That's what Christine said the week before when she told me what had come up to her in the morning. I have to tell you this. Interesting phrase. I have to tell you this. It was like something in them, which I believe are spirits from beyond, can nudge that person to do something because they have the capacity, they have the information that's necessary to give to somebody else that they love so that that person can know that they're with them, right? That they're with them. Then at the last thing, as this training is ending, the woman who had been working on a crochet activity the entire time came over and gave me what she created, which was huge. I'd been watching her all week, wondering what she was going to create, had no idea that she was going to create it in the time that we were together. And she created this really beautiful teddy bear that she gave to me, which was like my grandmother, like acknowledging me and our relationship. The depth of our relationship, like the child in me, right? She was attending to that wound that she knew was inside me and giving me comfort in the most basic way that we know how to give comfort, which is to hug something. So she gave me that gift. Then that night, she had orchestrated the year before when she was dying. I had connected with my story coach, Kristen Hange, in New York. And I had never met Kristen. And she was there, though, in that month before I died. And my grandma got to hear me talk about, with excitement, the shift in the book and how Kristen had suggested that we change the intro to the book that I'm working on with my grandmother and start with her death. That was an emotional decision to write about her death as she was dying. But she wanted me to challenge myself to do that in the moment. So Kristen was an integral part of my grandmother and my story, and especially at the end of her life. And here, of all the times, every time I go to New York, I'm like, hey, Kristen, I don't know if you can meet, but I'd love to meet you. And we were able to this time. So Kristen and I met, we had dinner, and afterwards we were talking about intuitive nudges. And she's like, well, I don't know if this means anything to you, but even though it's winter and it's freezing, I've been nudged to go have ice cream. Do you want to go have ice cream? And I'm like, yes, because I know how spirit works and something's going to happen. We go down the street to the ice cream shop that she's getting nudged to go to, Trudy's. And we end up getting ice cream. And the guy that works there, the owner, starts talking to us. He's talking to us. There's a sign that says, be kind, which is always something my grandmother wanted to do. I got coffee ice cream and mint chocolate chip, which was a blend of us. I got what I would want, the mint chocolate chip, which would remind her of me. And I got the coffee ice cream, which was something that she loved. And then he started talking about family and South Carolina, and specifically Columbia, South Carolina. Now, Columbia has always been important to us because it's where her brother lived. And we would go there to visit her brother. So here we go on this walk and my grandmother comes up, that's what we would always do, go have ice cream. Grandma loved ice cream. And so we would always have ice cream after our dinner. And so I was able to walk with Kristen and have ice cream and have my grandmother come up again. These are just ways that she wanted me to know, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. Over and over. She just wanted me to know, right? And so if you're going through a death anniversary, if you're going through a season that reminds you of your loved one, I would tell you that they're with you. You sense that. There's a part of you that knows that, and it doesn't mean that you don't grieve. I would say grief is a healthy thing, that when we stuff it down, that it can create things inside of us that we don't want, right? But if we allow ourselves to bring it up and out, it's just a temporary moment that we are actually witnessing the extent and it's just a token of like this love. It's almost like the love that we felt is alive in some way, even in our grief. It's acknowledging that this person meant so much to us, and then it's gone, and all that's left is the love. Only love remains once that's out of us, right? And we get to keep that. So if you are not experiencing that, if you're only experiencing the loss, I hope that this story plants a seed in you, that you recognize that your loved ones are around you all the time. Instead of them visiting and you visiting them like you used to, they're around you all the time. You can ask for their support. You can ask for their guidance. They can come to you through your intuition. You can cultivate that. That is a skill that you can cultivate, and there are many different ways to do it. And if you want to get to a place where you practice becoming able to hear them, to notice the chief's bracelet and that being something that came from them, to notice that Anna's hummingbird is a moment that it's connection to them, to notice the lights that somehow shouldn't be on because there's no batteries and that's from them. Because you've been thinking of them, they're trying to get to you. You're reaching out to them, they're reaching back. As above, so below, right? There's always this connection, right? So as you're thinking about this, I would encourage you to lean in and recognize there's a whole body of evidence and experience that says that our loved ones are still there, and that we can cultivate the capacity to connect to them. And it starts with listening. That means giving space to our loved ones, giving quiet, intentional space to our loved ones to speak to us, to not just auditorily for us to hear somebody. It's really rare to see them. It takes a lot of energy for them to be able to get to our frequency, and then to trust that we're at a frequency to be able to hear them. So seeing them is very unlikely, but it can happen. Hearing, when you get to that silent spot, you can hear. But usually, in the beginning, it's just a feeling. It's our intuition. It's them pulling a memory up in us, or it's nudging other people and going, do this. And then you're receiving something from them. It takes a little less energy, I would imagine, to nudge somebody, as opposed to be who you are in this moment and experiencing each other in that way. But creating space and silence for that connection is one way. Another way is meditation or mindfulness. So every single time we monotask and we do one thing and we just focus on it, we're training our brain to not be responsive to all these different things. When we're like this all the time, we can't sense what's just right here around us. So allowing ourselves to cultivate that mindfulness and being present in the moment allows for us to actually sense when something's happening around us that is important, right? It allows for us to connect to that. So whether or not you can hear your loved ones, always know that they're around you and trust that you can cultivate that capacity. With a desire, you can lean in. So I hope this season that you remember that all of those individuals that you have loved are still with you and around you and connected to you. Until next time, my friends, peace, love, and light.